Hi there, everyone, and welcome to the Modern Thirst Editing Cave. It's Bill Straub with you once again. And last time you saw me, we were reviewing the Elijah Craig Straight Rye Whiskey. When we did that, I promised that we would do a side-by-side of that with the other Heaven Hill ryes that are readily available on the market. So this doesn't include any of the Parker's Heritage or anything like that, but it does include Rittenhouse Bottled and Bond and the Pikesville Straight Rye Whiskey. So first things before we get into this, I wasn't a huge fan of the Straight Rye from Elijah Craig. There's a minty characteristic to it that I wasn't a huge fan of. I tried it over the course of 3 days. Never could shake that. I want to see if it's something that carries through if I taste it alongside some other ryes, particularly ones that should be somewhat similar. Now, one of the big differences you'll notice is that the Elijah Craig is 94 proof. Rittenhouse, since it is bottled and bond, is of course 100 proof, and Pikesville is 110 proof. So when we drink these, they're going to step up in proof. That can affect flavor in a number of different ways. When you add more alcohol to any whiskey, you get these ethanol notes and some kind of the stronger flavors that can in fact bury some different flavors at a lower proof that might come out. Anytime you taste anything at barrel proof and you really want to review it, you should always splash it with water, because that does help calm that ethanol a little bit and allows you to smell some of the aromas and get some of the flavors that are sometimes overpowered by the alcohol. So it's possible that at 94 proof, there's been just enough water added to this where that spearmint kind of comes out in spades. But I kind of want to try this out side by side and see where we stand on this. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Elijah Craig. And again, I just did a review on this within the last week. I still get the mintiness. And a little bit of that kind of simple syrup or circus peanuts, maybe cotton candy-ish. That again, those are things that I've gotten many times over the years from Heaven Hill's wheated bourbons, but never really got them on a rye before. But we'll go ahead and give it a taste. Yeah, still predominantly this spearmint, almost wintergreen flavor. It's a little off-putting. It's not that, I mean, it's not awful. It's just not something I'm going to reach for when there's so many other ryes out there, especially in this price range, that don't have that. Tastes a little bit more like a rye should, even a Kentucky rye. But we're going to move on to Rittenhouse. I've always liked Rittenhouse a lot from a value perspective. It's really good. It's about 30, 35 bucks. It's 100 proof. It's bottled and bond, so you know it's 4 years old. Probably a little younger than the Elijah Craig, which is, I believe I read it's in the neighborhood of 7 to 9 years. But, oh, there's a lot more brown sugar on this one. This is a much more... It's much more what you would expect from both Heaven Hill and from a Kentucky-made rye whiskey. Some cinnamon, vanilla, black pepper, that's the rye. Maybe even some graham cracker in there, which is interesting. I don't believe I've ever noticed that on the Rittenhouse before. And ironically, it's a lot more oak forward than the Elijah Craig, which is weird because it's younger. To me, this tastes more like a mature whiskey, and it tastes like I would expect a Kentucky rye to. It's more like a bourbon than an Indiana rye or some of these 95.5 recipes. There's a lot of barrel tannins on the end of that. One thing I will say is it's a little less sophisticated. It's a little rough around the edges. The Elijah Craig is very easy drinking. It doesn't have a lot of barrel tannins. It's very soft, kind of more on the delicate spectrum. This is more in your face. It's a little bolder. There's a definite tannic punch to the end of the finish there. And on to Pikesville. Pikesville has always been one of my favorites. Ooh, that graham cracker is really strong on this. A little bit of barrel tannins, black pepper, hints of citrus even, which you expect with any type of rye whiskey. Tons of black pepper on the palate on that. That is a hallmark of a rye whiskey. Any rye whiskey. They should all have that rye kind of spicy kick to it. Pikesville has it in spades. It also has more alcohol to it. So always keep that in mind. I'm going to kind of go back through these again and see if the flavors, after I've warmed myself up a little bit more, if the flavors continue. I am using the Modern Thirst Year 6 first edition challenge coins. These are available for sale at ModernThirst.com/shop or by becoming a Patreon. $10 each. That includes shipping. Please check it out. There aren't a ton more of these. We only printed 100. We've sold a few, so not a ton left. Back to the Elijah Craig. Ooh, there's just night and day difference on the nose between this and those. These have a lot of similarities. The Rittenhouse and the Pikesville, I can see how they're related. I can see how they come from the same likely mash bill, the same distillery. It's a choice of barrels, a choice of proof. This one could be a completely different whiskey. So I'll have to check again and see if that mash bill is the same as the mash bills on the other two. I believe it's 51% rye and 35% corn, 14% barley. If that's correct, I don't recall if that's Heaven Hill's standard rye mash bill or not, but I have that. You can go to ModernThirst.com and under whiskey resources, you can find our mash bill chart. It has a ton of mash bills on it. It's only ones that we've had confirmed to us, either by someplace from the internet's, the company's website, or a marketing person, or directly from someone involved with the distiller themselves. So it's a pretty good resource if you kind of want to research the different mash bills. Very different. I am getting a little bit of a little bit more oak on this than I initially was thinking. It's kind of more of a freshly sawn oak, but there's that mintiness is so strong on this after those other two. It is so strong. And it's so weird. It's like someone dropped a Mentos or something into the glass. Man, it's an interesting beast, I'll tell you that. So our next video is going to be comparing this with the Old Forester rye, because they're both relatively new, same price point, about $30. And they're new releases of a new whiskey under an existing line. And they're regular releases, even though this one's not sold in Kentucky. So I'm going to do a side-by-side of those, and I'll probably do that one blind. This one, it wasn't fair to do it blind because the proofs are so different. The Old Forester is 100 proof, so it's like the Rittenhouse. I could do the two of these blind most likely, but the Pikesville is going to stand out like a sore thumb at 110 proof. So we're going to go back to the Rittenhouse. Yeah, I really don't get the mintiness at all in Rittenhouse. Black pepper, kind of that graham cracker pie crust. Just more what you would expect from a Kentucky rye, and it has the hallmark notes of what you would expect from a Heaven Hill whiskey. And I'm not really holding that against any company if their products are a little off profile, because if you come out with a new mash bill or a new bottling or something, you don't necessarily want it to taste like all your other stuff. I just the mintiness, the spearmint or wintergreen or whatever that is just a little weird to me on that. And it comes off being a little, I don't really like it. But the Rittenhouse, still, what a great rye whiskey. I mean, 100 proof, bottled in Bond. It's under $35. I don't know why it's not on more people's list of everydays. As far as ryes go, it's one of the best values out there. Yeah, the more you drink that, the more rye notes you get. You get a little bit more black pepper. The citrus, the sweet, candied citrus kind of comes out. You get a lot of lemon zest and orange zest on there. That's a hallmark of rye. It's something that you expect to find in a rye whiskey. It's not quite as pronounced as it's going to be in a MGP produced rye or something where it's 95% rye in the mash bill, because these are all 51% rye, which is kind of what we consider a Kentucky rye. But yeah, it's there. The flavors are there. The proof is pretty good. I actually like 94 proof because I'm a big fan of Elijah Craig Small Batch. I was a bigger fan when I was 12 years old. but I'm a big fan of Elijah Craig small batch bourbon. The 94 proof isn't a problem for me. The Rittenhouse is just a little better. That the proof point, the flavor profile they're going for, it's just a better, and I believe they're around the same cost. So why would you buy the one that's not quite as good? It's in a fancier bottle and doesn't have a screw cap. Pikesville's a good rye. That's so tasty. This is basically taking Rittenhouse and amplifying everything by a little bit. And I guess 10% based on the proof. You just take that graham cracker, you take the pie crust, you take a little bit of the vanilla and a little bit of the caramel that you typically get in a bourbon. And that's from the corn, the sweetness. But you add in that black pepper that's it pops just a little bit more, and you add in the candied citrus and the lemon and orange zest, and they pop a little bit more. The finish is just a little bit longer. It's less tannic than the Rittenhouse. It is certainly longer than Elijah Craig. Elijah Craig is more of a short finish to me, despite the fact that it probably has the best mouthfeel of the bunch. It's very creamy on the palate. It just dissipates very quickly when it's in your mouth. All in all, the Pikesville is head and shoulders above these two. It's just a better whiskey. It's also the most expensive, and it's a higher proof. So you expect that. Between these two, if I had my choice, I'm going to pick the Rittenhouse. It's a little better. I believe they're the exact same price, right around $30. Rittenhouse might be $1 or $2 more, might be $1 or $2 less. I don't recall. It's been a little while since I bought a bottle. Last time I think I bought a case of them, so I've still got a bottle or two in there that are unopened. But between the two of them, I don't know why you'd buy the Elijah Craig other than for the name and the bottle. It's a much prettier bottle. I'll give them that. It's the same bottle and same packaging that you see with the bourbon, the small batch bourbon. But all in all, of the three of them, Pikesville's the best tasting, Rittenhouse is the best value. I just don't see a place for Elijah Craig on my shelf. Even if they bring it to Kentucky, I don't see myself regularly buying it when I can buy the other two, they have all the same characteristics, just better, and they don't have that minty spearmint wintergreen to it, which I don't care for one way or another. So anyway, that's my take on the three of these. The next video I'm going to do a blind side-by-side between this and the Old Forester Rye. I will have Mrs. Modern Thirst mix those up for me so I don't know which one's which. And I'll reveal them after I taste them, let you know what I think about them. And that way, for anybody who's kind of comparing the two, since they both came out within the last year, they're both new expressions from an existing whiskey maker, you kind of have a side-by-side idea of which one you should really be reaching for. But I hope you liked it. If you do, please like and subscribe on Facebook. Check us out at ModernThirst.com. We've got tons and tons and hundreds of whiskeys reviewed and rated there. And also consider supporting us at patreon.com/ModernThirst. Every little bit helps, and you can get a challenge coin or even t-shirts and samples of the stuff that we review, like the Elijah Craig Rye, depending on which tier you join and how you support us on that. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Cheers.